Oh, where is our James Connolly? Oh, where is that guy?
This new exhibition in the library called Labour and Dignity, looking at James Connolly's time that he spent in the United States. This exhibition is on loan to us from Glucksman Ireland House, which is part of New York University, so we're delighted that they've sent this exhibition across to us. The idea behind it is that we're looking at iconic figures from the 1916 period and the decade of centenaries, and looking at them just in a slightly broader context than people perhaps know. So the main focus of this exhibition is looking at Connolly's time in the States and his fights for workers' rights and unionisation.
James Connolly, when you start reading about him, is an absolutely fascinating character. To be honest, when I started looking at him, all I knew was that he was one of the leaders of 1916, that he'd been involved in the Dublin lockout, and that he had been injured and shot when he was in the GPO and was tied to the chair when he was being executed in Kilmainham. But the more you look, the more, as I say, of a fascinating character he becomes. He wasn't actually Irish by birth. His parents were Irish. They'd had to migrate to Scotland to get work. And, I mean, they were absolutely devastated by the poverty. He had to leave school at the age of 10, which makes his achievements afterwards in terms of his writing absolutely amazing, because you think he left school at the age of 10, he had no formal education after that. All the stuff like Marx, all that socialist stuff, to be honest, I think most of us, even reading with the benefit of a good education, are struggling to understand. You could read that and try to make something of it with the little education he had. He becomes so involved in the labour movement and the attempts to set up proper trade unions. Not only does he take part in events in Ireland, but he goes to America not once but 3 times, which is amazing for the time period he's living in. And he goes right across America trying to help them in unionisation, to the extent that he actually learns some Italian so that he can help to communicate with the Italian workers, most of whom were working in the same sort of factories as the Irish people were. And in his writings and his speeches, you get a sense of that attempt to keep reaching out, keep helping people.
Well, we're very lucky that we have very good relations with the Department of Foreign Affairs in Dublin. They suggested to us quite some time ago that we might like to have this exhibition. We have some other events around it from the Irish Labour History Society. So in December they'll be putting on a lecture and a few other events around the exhibition as well. There is a very nice booklet that if people come down, it's a free booklet, so if they want to come down and visit the exhibition, this booklet gives you much more information about James Connolly and all the panels that are on display and what the idea behind it and what it's about.
A lot of it is material that's brought from contemporary newspapers, and it's put together in such a way that you can follow the story from his first visit to America, as he travels across, as he tries to involve himself in unionisation. I think growing up, to be honest, for people of my generation, our image of America was that it was a very prosperous place. It was a place where everything was sort of milk and honey. And when you look at the pictures, you read the stuff that happens, it's exactly the same sort of thing. In fact, in some ways, it's nearly further back, because you see about a child of 10 who was killed by falling down a chute in a factory. You see the number of children who are injured in industrial accidents, and they're nearly all under the age of 12. That's the sort of thing you see here, both the accounts from the newspapers and photographs from the time. So it's very, very moving. The exhibition only officially opened. We've already had a huge amount of interest in it. We've had people coming in to find out more about Connolly and about his time in America. I think it gives us a wider picture. As I say, my own impression of Connolly was only of his involvement in Ireland. Somewhere probably in the back of my mind I knew he'd been to America, but I had no great understanding what he did there. And it shows him as a man of the people, of a man who's very much concerned with bringing the people out of poverty and putting the socialist case forward, yes, but seeing it as something which makes people's lives better for them.
Next year, obviously 1916, we will be looking at the 16th and 36th Ulster Divisions. We'll also be looking at the First World War, the events that happened and continued to go on in 1916, and we'll also be looking at some other local events and how that ties in to things like the Easter Rising and how it ties into the Belfast connection to those events.
Where is that gallant